It is your one-stop shop to Monday morning quarterbacking. Here with Edward.
How's it going?
I'm Johnny, and we're here for your first edition of the Morning Audible, presented by the Cine-men Movie podcast. It is a cold and chilly Wednesday evening.
Yes, sir.
As we prepare to upload this on Thursday morning here in Oklahoma City. The only thing you hear about going on right now in Oklahoma is the Big 12 Championship Week.
Oh man, everything Big 12, everything Big 12.
So we have a busy week. What a pretty huge way to kick off episode 1. You have championship week in college football.
Yes, sir.
You have must-win week in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a definite.
The NBA is getting hot and heavy. The Thunder is kicked off already playing the Cavaliers here in downtown Oklahoma City.
Yep.
What a Monday night game.
No, it was just lopsided. I mean...
Houston is on an 8-game win streak. We will talk about that a little bit more in our NFL section of the show. But man, how excited are you for championship week in college football? Are you excited?
There's a lot of pressure. I mean, honestly, for the boys. There's a lot of pressure for OU. There's a lot of pressure for Georgia and Alabama, for that matter, going against each other. So, a lot of pressure on Texas, too. I mean, can they do it again?
Yeah, there's no pressure.
Well, I'm just saying, then everybody's going to be, well, that Texas win was just a big fluke, crap like that. So,
I mean, you call being up by 24 points in the fourth quarter, and then playing conservative and letting OU come back in the game. We can argue all day. But for Texas, it's a win, and you're playing possibly in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah. Something
they haven't done since January 2010.
Gotcha.
So they're way ahead of schedule where Tom Herman wants them to be. It would be nice to play in a New Year's Six Bowl this year, but it's all exceeding expectation, if you will.
Right. I get that.
So, it's championship week, and that kicks off Friday, November 30th. With the MAC Football Championship. We'll call it like it is. It's a 10-2 Buffalo taking on 7-5 North Illinois at 6 p.m. on ESPN2, Friday, November 30th. They have Buffalo by 3. I think I'll take Buffalo by 10. 28, or by 11, 28-17.
I mean, that's 10-2. I mean, I'm not saying 10-2 is like the best record ever, but it's not. It could be a lot worse for those guys. So I definitely take Buffalo. Probably, I'm going to say 14. I'm going to give a little bit of faith in them. I'm going to say 14 points for that matter. So,
14-point favorite.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll definitely have our eyes on this game, which will be the Pac-12 championship. Utah and Washington. Washington ended up beating Washington State last week, and they're in. It pits number 11, Washington, taking on number 17, Utah, for the Pac-12 championship. Again, the winner gets a New Year's Six Bowl bid.
Which, I mean, both are 9-3. Washington's number 11, Utah is number 17. I mean, I'm going to have to go with Washington, but I don't think anybody's a clear favorite in that. I mean...
no, they only have Washington a 5-point favorite. I'm going to pick Washington 31-24.
I could see that.
I think Browning is on his way to the NFL after this season. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a first-round pick. Hopefully, if he can just play like he normally does.
Right. I mean... At least he's been doing good. I mean, 9-3. Come on, it's not bad.
They've struggled through times as well as he has. He's been iffy all year. He hasn't had nearly the success that they've wanted him to there in the Pac-12.
A competitive edge.
Now let's talk Saturday morning. 11 a.m., the Sun Belt Championship, which is the big game everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Appalachian State, Louisiana. They have Appalachian State by 16-point favorites.
Well, okay. So expected big things.
I'll take the points. I'll take Appalachian State 35-10.
Truthfully, I don't really know either of those two teams that well to really give my full opinion on that.
Give or take. I think the only championship that matters at 11 o'clock in the morning Saturday is going to be the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's the SEC. That's at
2:30. It's a 2:30 kickoff.
Yeah, that's a big game right there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Big 12 has a lot riding.
So now let's talk both teams. Let's dissect this game a little bit. Let's talk OU first. Oklahoma comes on in a 6-game win streak.
Yeah, since the last time.
Since the one and only loss that they've had.
So. And
they are continuing to still not get any respect from the AP, from the college football playoff. It has taken this long for them to get back to number 5 with everybody losing around them.
Well, I mean, on top of that, like for Yahoo Sports at least, game picks 55 Texas, 45 OU, 45% for OU, 55% for Texas. So as far as Yahoo Sports is going, OU looks like the underdog, even with that dynamic offense that's setting all kinds of stuff.
I don't see how Oklahoma can continue to let defenses put up that many points and continually. I mean, it doesn't make sense how they continue to win. Ohio State struggles, and they're still putting Ohio State above Oklahoma. Except not this week. This week, Oklahoma got the nod at entering number 5.
Yeah, definitely. Because you've got to put a lot of stuff on Kyler's shoulders, on Kyler Murray, simply because if we had Austin Kendall as the starter, I don't think we'd be even. Oh man, I think we'd be great if it was 9-3, let alone yeah. So I got to give a lot to that kid. That guy's balling out right now. Pretty much like I've heard the joke that defenses usually prevent the opponent from scoring. Apparently, OU's defense, the predominance of their job is to let Kyler have a break, give him some water, get him his breath back, and let him go out again and play.
No, that's right.
I mean,
today's kids say defense, defense wins games, offense puts asses in the seats. Everybody wants to show up and see the offense put up some points.
But I mean, honestly, Kenneth Murray can't do it by himself. I mean, he's a decent linebacker, but he cannot do it by himself.
Looking at the Big 12, every single game that stands out to me as far as the Texas and, what does Texas have to do to beat OU this time around? And I don't look at the last OU-Texas game.
Okay.
Because Oklahoma still put up 45 points.
Right.
If Texas wants to beat Oklahoma, I think you have to go back and look at the Army game. You have to play defense. You have to run the football. And that keeps Kyler Murray on the bench.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to treat him. Yeah. You have to treat him as if he's his own. He's his own player. Like he's the only one out there scoring points. You have to look at it that way. If you can keep him on the bench, successfully run the football, and do not turn the ball over, keep him on the bench, you'll win the football game.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Essentially, that's what really, really got OU into position to win against West Virginia was the defense had 2 takeaways for scores, let alone anything else. So, yeah, definitely I agree. Kyler, I mean, okay, you can't just give it all to Kyler because Kyler makes plays. Like, don't get me wrong, the kid's nuts. He's doing amazing. But, you've got Marquise Brown, you've got CeeDee Lamb, you've got Calcaterra, You've got Kennedy Brooks and Trey Sermon for that in the backfield. But, you know, if we had, like I said, if we had Austin Kendall, I don't think we'd be doing half as good as we are now.
Oh, no. Kyler Murray is a special player. He's almost Vince Young-like because if he can't beat you throwing the football, you better have a spy and a good spy on him because he'll run. Yeah. Not only will he run, he's pretty fucking fast.
Actually, he's the second fastest behind Marquise Brown only on
But looking at the stats from the last game that they played in, Texas did what they were supposed to do, except in the fourth quarter. They ran the football. They turned the ball. They forced Oklahoma to have turnovers. At one point in the third quarter, it was 31-17.
Right.
Texas. And you didn't keep Kyler Murray on the bench, and he ended up scoring a ton of points in the fourth quarter on you.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the kid's got an arm. He's got legs. He's smart. Honestly, he could do probably what Russell Wilson's doing right now, playing in Major League as well as NFL. I mean, I don't know what is going on with the Angels or the Oakland Athletics, but
Russell Wilson just plays for the Seahawks. But Kyler Murray came out and did say that during Big 12 Championship Media Week that the plan right now is to continue on with baseball next season. He said plans could change, plans may not change.
Definitely ain't mad at the guy. I mean, go get your money.
Yeah.
Happy what he's done so far.
So looking at the OU side of things, what do you think OU has to do to continue to keep winning?
I mean, honestly, to have what they did against West Virginia defensively would be amazing. Is it going to happen, especially with those two big old hoss of receivers?
I mean, they defensively they had 2 big plays which won them the game. Yeah. But West Virginia still put 56 points up.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that was a sneeze game at all. But with Texas, they've got 2 huge receivers. They've got the guys are pretty quick too. I mean, y'all got a decent defensive line too. Honestly, they've got a pretty good engine on them. You just gotta, honestly, play. Hopefully defense shows up. Because, I'm not worried about the offense. The offense can go all day. There's no problem in whatsoever for the offense. Defense just has to play their part, literally. Because if they can keep Ellinger just on his toes, I think it'll be a little bit better. But, I don't think there's a clear 100%, this is exactly the blueprint of how we win. Other than just go out, play well. That's it.
Right. ESPN is opposite of Yahoo. They have OU winning at a 72% chance.
Damn.
With OU being it did start off the week with a 5-point favorite. Now Oklahoma's an 8-point favorite.
Okay. Which, to be fair, it's just game picks. Like, I put my bid in to, and I can show the map. Let's see, 73% OU, 27% Texas in the south, pretty much from Texas and Oklahoma all the way over to, like, Virginia. So, it just shows different parts of the map that a lot of people think, actually, around the globe, other than the United States, apparently, 93% thinks Texas is going to win compared to 7% OU. So, that's a pretty out there, honestly.
Yeah. Right now, these are all just predictions. Nobody's gonna know, no matter how much trash talking goes out.
No,
nobody's gonna know until probably 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It could be like that 7 overtime game. Oh my god,
ridiculous. Where's the defense?
Well, not just that, but
those referees, I bet those referees are tired.
Heck yeah, they're probably tired after a regular game, let alone 7 overtimes. But further on. But yeah, it is definitely Big 12 championship week in Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure it's really big in Texas as well right now, too.
It's going to be huge. They're expecting 80,000 at Jerry World. 11 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing else other to talk about then. Let's do some predictions. records out the window, streaks out the window. Who do you got, and what's your point spread?
OU obviously. I would love to see I'd love to see a touchdown. In reality, I think it's going to be another 3-point game. I really do. I believe probably 52-49. I mean, big scores. I don't think it's going to land under 40 points for either team. I really don't. So we'll see.
In all reality, I don't think it would be that high scoring. The only thing that I think is in OU's favor is in that they're in a really, really hot. They got a hot streak going on.
Yeah,
they're really hot, and it's really tough to beat a good team twice.
True.
In the same season. I really would like to go with Texas. The only way you can beat Kyler Murray, I think, is to just play really good defense, force a couple of turnovers, and run the football. Keep him on the bench. If Texas can do that, I say they win big. Big. But if they don't, and if they just let Kyler Murray go out there and play football like he has been,
like just how he does,
then I'm gonna pick. I hope I'm wrong, but all biasness out the window. I'm gonna pick Oklahoma, 45-38.
Gotcha.
I just think Oklahoma has too many weapons. They're playing on a neutral site, but they're playing indoors, no weather, nothing. If that happens, Texas is sitting at 9-4.
Right.
It's been a great year. It's on to the Holiday Bowl or onto the Alamo Bowl,
which is still nothing to put down at all.
But man, if Oklahoma proves me right and they do win, this better not be like any other OU season and end in January. They better not get on that national stage and get embarrassed by another Big Ten or SEC opponent.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, like right now, it's kind of a hard one because, like we were talking earlier, you've got Alabama and Georgia SEC title. So I'm pretty much saying this, and I've been talking to a few people, and I've heard the same thing around every conversation. If Alabama loses, they're still going to get in the freaking championship just because they're probably only going to go to number 3 or number 4.
Yeah, if Alabama loses in the SEC championship game by 7 or less, they're still in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they could lose by 65 points and still get in. I really do. I just feel like Nick Saban's slobbing on a knob that he's not wanting to let go of. But good team, so can't.
I mean, they're a good team. They're very well coached.
Yeah,
you can't.
That's the thing.
You can't beat down what they've accomplished in the past. Since 2009, dudes won 6 national championships.
Yeah, no, Nick Saban's just putting steroids in the water or something. The dude's got something that's just remarkable. I mean, that's the thing. That is just. Man, he was
showing a slight edge in Miami there in the NFL. And all he wanted to stay in Miami was for them to sign Drew Brees. They didn't sign Drew Brees in free agency, and he took off.
Yep.
I don't blame the guy.
I don't either. I mean, don't get me wrong. You see what Drew Brees is doing now. He's pretty much almost always the highest percentage. He's almost always got the highest percentage completion percentage in the NFL for a passer. So that's a huge thing right there.
And that's the game we're about to talk about next is the SEC championship, Alabama, Georgia. This is a rematch of the national championship last year.
Yeah. So a few grudges probably going to be on the field.
And it's in the Georgia Dome, or not? It's not the Georgia Dome anymore, but it's in the new Atlanta Falcons Stadium,
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
And
thing's pretty.
I'm picking Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking Alabama. I think probably 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I don't think it's going to be that high. I'm looking at a 31-17 win. I'm
probably 42-21. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on Georgia because they beat OU last year. I just don't see them beating Alabama. I really don't. I'd love to see it, but I don't see it actually happening.
Honestly, this is anybody can be beaten on any given Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
But unless the national championship is, and I don't want Oklahoma to get embarrassed, but unless the national championship is Oklahoma and Alabama, Alabama's just going to want away with everything, I think.
Basically, and I mean,
because if you put a team like Notre Dame up against Alabama, they're going to smash them. You put a team like Ohio State up against Alabama, I think they're going to smash them.
I mean, if we're talking about strictly offense, I think you can take Alabama. Defense is what I'm worried about. Clemson, I think, would be about the best all-around team to take on Alabama, but I still think it's Alabama.
Clemson lately has not been that good on offense. And I mean, we gave our predictions for the Alabama game.
Yeah.
We both think Alabama's going to run away with it. And that's the next one we're going to cover is the ACC championship game, which pits number 2, Clemson Tigers, the undefeated Clemson Tigers. They are undefeated, going up against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pittsburgh got there somehow, so it's not like they're just pushovers. But Clemson is a pretty decently strong team. I mean,
Dabo Swinney, you can say the same thing for him. The past 5 years, they have been in the thick of things in the ACC.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to pick Clemson 42-10.
Yeah.
I do not see a good hard fought game here by Pittsburgh. What I would like to see from all these conferences is to do the round robin like the Big 12 does,
right?
And the top 2 best overall teams play at the end of the year.
I mean, that would be the more logical because then that would
take the divisions out.
Best representation.
You don't need the SEC West. You don't need the SEC East. Just toss it out the window.
Because I mean, that would put your best 2 representations of your conference against each other, and then whoever comes out of that game, the victor,
right?
That's apparently your best, to put out there. Simple.
And then the last game that's airing Saturday night will be the Big Ten championship. Northwestern at 8-4, taking on the Ohio State University, ranked number 6, and they're sitting at 11-1, who completely destroyed Michigan last week.
And surprisingly too, because I mean, Michigan was supposedly one of the top 3 defenses in the country, literally. So
I mean, Ohio State has struggled at times, throughout the year, but who hasn't?
Yeah, true.
The only thing I see is that one loss to Purdue.
Yeah,
an unranked Purdue team put it on them, 49-20, back on October 20th. But since then, they've had close games like Nebraska. They've had close games like against Maryland, and then they just completely dog shit smacked Michigan.
Which is pretty disrespectful, I've got to say.
So now they have Northwestern, who's 8-4. Ohio State's 14-point favorites.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a little closer than people think.
I think 7 to 10 points. I mean, honestly, I really do. touchdown, and a field goal tops. And I'm not saying it because I think Ohio State's crap. I'm not saying that at all. But I don't think I think Northwestern's not going to just roll over and die.
So who do you pick?
Ohio State. I mean, honestly, but I'm saying probably 38-31, maybe 38-28.
Let's take a look at Northwestern. I don't give Northwestern that much respect as far as offense goes. They barely sneaked by the division they're in to get this win. Their defense is a little bit better than people give them credit for, but I really think Ohio State wins 42-17.
42-17.
Now let's pretty much ask the question that's going to be on everybody's mind at the end of Saturday night.
Right.
If Ohio State kicks the dog-living shit out of Northwestern, 15 points or more, Oklahoma beats Texas by, let's say, 7 or less.
Okay.
Who gets in?
Okay, and I'm not. You're probably going to think I'm biased on this, and I'm not trying to be biased.
No, I'm not asking who you think gets in. I'm asking, who do you think they will put in?
I mean, it's kind of a hard decision because literally Ohio State's loss, kind of a big loss.
They got
3 points.
Right, and then
in a rivalry.
If they beat them in the Big 12 championship, they had made up that loss.
Right, they've redeemed themselves. On
another neutral field.
Yeah, for that matter. But I don't know. I kind of feel like it would be Ohio State, just because style points, if you will. But my thing is that it shouldn't be style points. It should be importance of game, rivalry, with acceptance, for that matter. On top of that, I do think that it should be, okay, they got smacked down this game compared to, well, they've been, pulling point. Because, I mean, it's like a Citadel with Alabama, last week, 2 weeks ago? Halftime, it was 10-10. And it was just like, what the hell? A Citadel? And then all of a sudden, it seemed like they were just kind of putting whoever in for quarterback. And then all of a sudden, oh, well, I guess we'll put Tua in. Like, let's go with Tagovailoa and put him in. And all of a sudden, boom, gone up by 25, 30 points. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like Ohio State last year, they did the same kind of deal. Got beat late in the season, won one game, got right in. Didn't matter. Apparently.
Yeah. Looking at the schedule, Ohio State does have the one loss to an unranked team. Oklahoma has the one loss to a ranked team.
Yep. And the difference in point differences on the
Ohio State has 5 wins against top 25. So far at the moment, Oklahoma has just a West Virginia win against a top 25 opponent.
Right.
I don't see them putting Ohio State over. The only way I can see them putting Ohio State over is if literally Oklahoma wins on a last-second field goal, and maybe Ohio State just smacks the dog shit out of Northwestern. I'm talking like 66-10.
Right. Which, I mean, I get that.
Other than that, I think you have to put Oklahoma in.
I mean, with how the offense has been performing, I would think so. And it's not like any of the games have gone under what I think Army was the lowest scoring game for OU, and I think they still put up 39 points.
28-21.
Oh, 28-21.
In overtime.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, 28-21, boom, lowest scoring game. So, and then since Texas, actually, there's been no less than 45 points put up. Literally, no less than 45 points. So, we'll see. I mean, it is that time. We'll see.
Which leads us, and we thought we'd do a little top 5, bringing in a little top 5 to the Cine-men Movie podcast version of this section of the show.
Yeah.
And we will set in and do our top 5. You're going to do your top 5 OU players of all time in your eyes, and I'll do top 5 Texas players in my eyes.
So are we going with 1 year, 5 years, doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. It just depends on who you think is in your top 5 of top OU players of all time.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if they were there for a year. Doesn't matter if they were there for an off season like Troy Aikman was. Or,
right.
I mean, doesn't matter.
Okay. I mean, if we're speaking just strictly college, I would probably...
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they did in the pros.
5... I'd say Roy Williams, safety. Got to put a couple defensive players in there because I think it's BS if you don't, or apparently you've had a crappy run with defense, one of the two. Now, don't get me wrong, I would put Brian Bosworth in there, but with all the possible on-field allegations, I'm going to leave him as an honorable mention. There you go. Bosworth is the shit, but he was into a lot of shit as well, unfortunately. Number 4, just because of the 1 year, Kyler Murray. And it's not because I don't like the guy. I love the guy. I'm very proud to have him on the team of what he's done and accomplished and all that. But, you know, since he's just been in 1 year, and I would love to see what the kid could have done with 3, but you had Baker Mayfield, and he's got the Oakland Athletics. So I'd say go get your money, kid. I mean, honestly, go with the paper. Number 3, Gerald McCoy. I mean, he led that defensive line like no other business. I mean, literally, he did damn good. 2, I'd probably have to go and reach in a little bit farther back. Billy Sims. What more can you say? I mean, Billy Sims. Simple. And number 1 for me, just because I really love this player, Baker Mayfield. Dude was energetic. He was OU hype, OU DNA in all reality. He was the Sooner, because literally, Oklahoma Sooners, we are the land run, basically, cheaters in a way, if you will. In all reality, that's what we are. And he literally staked his claim in Ohio before he got to the state. So, he's the definition of a Sooner, literally.
I can't argue. I mean
no matter what sideline stuff he did, which, honestly, I thought was hilarious. I loved it. I was cool with it. So, whatever. My bad. But, hey.
Gotta break it down. It's a unique top 5. Number 4 for me, I'll go linebacker, and I'll go Brian Arakpo.
Okay.
From 07 to 09, the dude was just an absolute beast, and one of the big reasons that Texas was so successful in 2008, and then going to the national championship in 2009. Dude was just a straight beast. I remember his last OU Texas game. Sam Bradford comes in after his bum shoulder that got hurt in BYU, and Sam's like, "Oh, I'll be all right. Well, let me get back there." Brian Arakpo just laid it on him, and poor Sam was out for the rest of the year.
Yep.
Not bad. Number 4, not a flashy receiver, not the biggest, not the best, but I'm going to go with Jordan Shipley.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, 5th-year kid, just went to work every single day, put his head up, and took hits. Didn't matter how big he was. And you look at the kind of receiver he was in college then, that's almost transitioned over to the NFL. And that slot receiver almost is just like the new hybrid in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, you kind of got to credit Oklahoma native, at least, in cultivating that a little bit. Wes Welker,
Yeah.
The guy was perfect in that position practically.
Number 3, I wanted to go with so many more Texas defensive players, but I couldn't pass these 3 up in my eyes.
I mean, honestly, I wanted to go with a lot more OU offensive players.
It's tough.
I mean,
number 3 for me, I'm going to have to go with Heisman Trophy winner Ricky Williams. The last Heisman Trophy winner, he changed the atmosphere for being a running back at Texas.
Yeah.
Cedric Benson was there before him. Cedric Benson went on to do great things. But Ricky Williams, scratch that, it was the opposite way around. Cedric Benson coming in after Ricky Williams, but Ricky Williams just changed the lifestyle of being a running back at Texas. Texas in the mid-'90s was kind of a laughingstock. And then here comes Mac Brown and Ricky Williams, and they showed up everybody. So completely changed the aspect of Texas, bringing in other players,
right,
like a Vince Young, like a Lima Swede, like a Michael Huff. I have an honorable mention, by the way.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is going to be, we saw him play on Thanksgiving Day, is going to be Colt McCoy.
Okay. Yeah, you used to love that guy.
Man,
You did.
A 4-year starter, won more games than anybody at the University of Texas, broke every single Texas record, still owns a lot of Texas records. The only thing that I feel so bad for the kid is getting hurt in the national championship against Alabama. Wins, he won himself a Big 12 championship. Went to the national championship, and literally his first drive started at the 20, and they marched all the way down the field, looked to get in the fucking touchdown scoring range, and he just bummed his shoulder out. And that game, to me, I still say to this day that if Colt McCoy didn't get hurt, Texas wins that game, and you don't see an Alabama dynasty.
Damn. Okay.
I think all that momentum would have switched around, and Texas would have had a lot of that momentum after that national championship game.
So you could say we've got y'all to blame for that.
You can say that. I think Colt McCoy getting hurt and Alabama winning that game, it swung every single momentum, every single recruiting kid in the nation, and Nick Saban just fished him in after that.
Yeah, and he still does.
My honorable mention before I tell everybody my number one is going to be Earl Thomas.
Oh, damn. That's really in the bag right there.
Safety. He was on those epic legendary teams with Colt McCoy. Left. He was only a 2-year starter. Left as a sophomore, went to the NFL. Now he's got some Super Bowl championships. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I could mention Peterson. I could mention Murray. I could mention Colt McCoy. I could mention Mark Clayton, Tommy McDonald. That's one in the bag. I mean, Leroy Selmans. How about that guy? Yeah, there's a lot in the bag, but those are the ones that I kind of personally liked. So,
and then my number one is going to be the man, VY, number 10,
Figured.
Vince Young.
You're always on the D.
3-year starter, 31-1. I mean, hey, you should feel proud that one loss was OU as a as a sophomore. So yeah, he went 31-1. Goes to the Big 12 championship his junior year and puts 73 on Colorado. Goes to the national championship and has to this day probably the best and the most talked about national championship of all time. I haven't seen another game that equals that kind of intensity, that kind of disrespect, though, that USC and California, the state of California, had for Texas. Texas just shows up and just walks away.
Well, I mean, that is a very classic game right there.
You look at the NFL players, too, that were in that game.
Yeah.
Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Vince Young, Lindell White. USC and Texas had that game. To this day, that game, I don't think any game will pass that one. A few years ago, Clemson and Alabama almost passed it, but it was probably one of the better national championships I've seen.
There you go.
So, well,
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to ride on, but until the gavel's down on all of those games, you can't really say much. I mean, honestly, you can't really say too much.
Oh, no. But when we come back, we will talk all things NFL.
Yes, sir.
We didn't set out to make it hit. We just sang our song. Real bourbon, no apologies. Wild Turkey. It'll find you.
With Drew Brees, the Saints can beat you short or deep. With Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, they can beat you on the ground. But the Cowboys defense is saying, hey, don't sleep on us. I know what that guy can do, Tyrone Crawford said of Brees, but I also know what this defense is about. In their last 3 games, the Cowboys have 5 interceptions and 8 sacks. Rod Marinelli said the goal is to make the complex simple so his defense can play fast. That's our weapon, our speed, Marinelli said. They'll have to be at their fastest Thursday.
And man, that's what we're about to talk about now. The NFL preview. Cowboys hope to end the Saints' 10-game win streak. What do you think? The 10-1 New Orleans Saints at the 6-5 Dallas Cowboys. It's prime time. NFL on Fox Thursday night. Who do you got?
Honestly, I've got the Saints. I mean, it's not disrespecting the Dallas Cowboys. It's not like pitting against you. It's just like I've got the Saints. Like you said earlier, I mean, it's hard to be the team that's on a hot streak. I mean, it's kind of hard to come in and, beat Drew Brees at his own, I guess you'd say, his own game. Dude's a legend for a reason. I mean, he kind of, after Hurricane Katrina, he kind of rallied that whole team together almost single-handedly and got that championship, the Super Bowl title, the Lombardi Trophy that next year. So.
Saints are good. Saints can be beat.
Yeah,
I think the Saints are the best team in the league right now. To me, no offense is playing better, no defense is playing better. Everybody can say, "Oh, what about Kansas City or not St. Louis or Los Angeles and the Rams?" But you know what? The Rams are giving up a shit ton of points on defense, and so are the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, when the Kansas City Chiefs had 2 times, Kansas City had 2 times to prove to everybody that they're a national powerhouse and they could be called an elite team in the NFL. They went up against the Rams and they went up against the Patriots. Lost both times.
Right.
I'm not sold on the Kansas City Chiefs. Wait until January, after the divisional round, then I'll be sold.
Right.
Kansas, it doesn't matter if Trent Green is the quarterback. It doesn't matter if Larry Johnson is running the football. And it doesn't matter if Alex Smith is the quarterback. Kansas City can do whatever they want in the regular season, but when they get to the playoffs, they're a completely different team.
Right.
And Andy Reid has proved it. He did the same thing with Philly. Could not win the big one. Cannot reach the Super Bowl. Reached the Super Bowl and got embarrassed. Patriots beat him. I don't trust the Chiefs unless it's January and they win a divisional game. I don't trust them.
I mean, it's divisional for my guys because I'm pretty sure Kansas City still has the Raiders to play against twice, for that matter.
Oh yeah, they'll probably win.
Yeah, they're going to eat the Raiders.
They'll probably win the rest of the games of the year. They might go 14-2, but you know what? Those 2 losses are against the teams that they should have beaten, that they needed to beat in order for somebody to call them an elite team.
Because I mean, honestly, they've got Oakland. Oakland twice. So this is their bye week, or that was their bye week last week. This week coming up, they've got the Raiders. The last week, December 30th, they've got the Raiders as well. They've got the Chargers on the 13th. I think that's going to be probably one of their hardest games. But then sandwiched in between is the Baltimore Ravens and the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are not the Seahawks of, like, say 2013, 2014. But their defense
isn't going to let Patrick Mahomes just sit back there and tear them up.
No, they're still not an easy or a layover team. They are definitely there. Baltimore, Terrell Suggs is leading that defense. They're not elite. It's not Ray Lewis, but Terrell Suggs is not a bad second option.
So we talked about the Saints and Cowboys. Saints are coming in on a hot win streak. They've demolished teams like Minnesota 30-20. They beat the Rams by 10, 45-35. And in the last 3 games, they have been hot.
Yeah.
Beating, I would say, mediocre teams right now. Cincinnati, they put up 51-14.
Yeah.
They beat the Eagles 48-7.
Yeah.
And then last week, they passed by the Falcons 31-17. Cowboys, on the other hand, they're on a 3-game win streak too. Again, almost the same teams. Not very good teams. Philadelphia 27-20. Atlanta 22-19, and then last week Washington 31-20.
Right.
This is almost like the Texas and OU game.
Kinda, yeah.
If Dallas can run the football and get Zeke going and get Zeke hot and keep Drew Brees on the field, I like the Cowboys' chances.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it does depend a lot on how.
But if it's a shootout, and you have a quarterback who is used to being in a shootout against a quarterback who is not, I'm going to go with the Saints.
Yeah, Drew Brees all day if you're going air out. I mean, honestly.
But Drew Brees is undersized. He's heard that his whole career.
Oh, yeah.
And some of their offensive linemen are not playing this game.
Right.
If he gets hit, it's in Dallas. I'm going to go with Cowboys with the upset. I'm going to go 35-31.
I've got the Saints. Probably 32-21, honestly. Just because, I mean, I feel like Drew Brees is going to kind of have his way again. I really don't see New Orleans slowing down for that matter. But I mean, honestly, you can't really knock off Van Der Esch. That kid's pretty good. So you can't really say, I mean,
and he's had turnovers in the last 2 games. So
Yeah.
if he can have a couple turnovers and maybe a sack fumble, I like the Cowboys' chances.
Oh yeah, and I mean, on top of that, you got Taco Charlton, DeMarcus Lawrence. You've got some key players over there on the defense.
And they're being,
so.
it's almost I like the Texas game. The Cowboys' defense is being disrespected.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks they can stop them.
I just think, I mean, honestly, it's not really about me not thinking the Dallas defense can't. It's just about Drew Brees being on that hot streak. That's all it is. The guy's in the position and has been in that position for as long. Sean Payton has an easy job. He don't have to call many calls.
We're going to break down the primetime games, but all the other games we're going to just fly by here. Next up on my list is Colts-Jags. They bench Broyles. Colts have been on a tremendous 5-game win streak. Andrew Luck has been hot. I mean hot. I got the Colts going. I got the Colts up 38-28.
Yeah, I think he's going to throw for 4. I really do, because he hasn't thrown for less than 3 in 8, 9 games.
Yeah,
now?
he'll get his fantasy points.
Oh yeah.
So,
whoever's got luck out there, good job.
38-28 Colts. Who do you got?
Oh, Colts, easy. I mean, Jags. Yeah. I mean that kind of just says something. Them going to their backup instead of putting Bortles in. So yeah, I'm definitely going Colts. Points wise. 34-17.
Okay. Yeah. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Falcons. Atlanta's a 1-point favorite, but I'm going to go Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's got this team on a really good streak right now. Atlanta just can't get it together on defense. Lamar Jackson scrambling around gives that Falcons a headache. I got the Ravens 24-21. Who do you got?
Oh, I can agree with that, actually. Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson, great guy. You can't really do a lot with Matt. You can't really disrespect Matty Ice. But yeah, I've got Baltimore about the same, 24-21.
Next up, we got the Denver Broncos at the Bengals. Again, that's another quarterback situation with the Bengals. Andy Dalton is out for the year. The Broncos defense seems to be playing pretty good football right now.
Yeah.
I got the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go 16-10.
I've got them. Of course, that's my team. So I'm going with Denver, of course, since the Andy Dalton's out. As long as Phillip Lindsay can get 100 yards plus and Case Keenum doesn't throw an interception or a fumble, I've got 24-12.
Okay. Next up, we have the 10-1 Rams at the Detroit Lions. Rams are a 10-point favorite. If there's any game where the Rams defense shows up, I think it'll be this one, and I pick the Rams heavily on the road, 38-21.
Yeah, it just seems like that the Detroit Lions are having too many problems. So yeah, definitely Rams. I'm going to kind of say 31-17.
Alrighty, Arizona up next at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay's almost in the same situation as the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
They got to win out and need some help to make the playoffs. Green Bay is a 14-point favorite. I'm going with Green Bay, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than they think. I'm going Green Bay 28, Arizona 24.
I'm going with Green Bay as well. Green Bay, I'm going to go 21-14.
Next up, you have two struggling teams. They cannot get it together right now at this point. Miami, believe it or not, still has playoff hopes, but I am going with the Buffalo Bills in the upset. I think Buffalo is going to win 13-10.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Buffalo as well, just because I don't think Osweiler is going to get it done. Oh, I mean Brock Osweiler.
I don't think he's starting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm going with Buffalo.
Next up, we have, again, you got a division leader against a team who is just waiting for the draft. The Chicago Bears at MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Football Giants. Giants keep struggling, and the Bears are needing to keep winning so they can get that number 1 seed, hopefully, or number 2 seed in the playoffs. Chicago's a 4-point favorite. I'm going to go Chicago, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than everybody thinks. I think it's going to be a 24-17 Bears.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go Chicago because Khalil Mack and Mitchell Trubisky are doing pretty damn good. I'm going to go 24 to probably 24-14. Yeah.
I think that defense is just too much for Eli to handle. Eli can't take all that D. Next up, you got the Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Carolina needs to keep winning just to try to make the playoffs. Carolina is a 3-point favorite. I think I'm going to go with Cam Newton and the Panthers. But I think it's going to be close. We'll do 28-13 Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers are always kind of a dynamic team. But we showed if you shut down Cam's legs, he's not as much of a threat. But then again, who has really shown that since the Denver Broncos defense of 2015? So yeah, I'm going with Carolina over Tampa, probably 24-17.
Next up, you have division leader. The Houston Texans are hosting the Cleveland Browns. Houston's a 5-point favorite. On the road, I think Houston, this could be a trap game for Houston, but in Houston, I think the Texans take care of business. I like Houston 28, Cleveland 17.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of into a few people on the Cleveland Browns careers, so kind of gets me. But yeah, Houston's too powerful so far. I mean, 8 streak with 3 losses in the beginning, 8 streak wins. So yeah, I'm going with Houston as well. I'm going to go ahead and make it like 24-17. I mean,
okay.
Honestly.
Next up, you have the Tennessee Titans hosting the New York Jets. Tennessee has been struggling lately. The Jets are coming to town. Tennessee's a 7-point favorite. I have another upset on alert. I picked the New York Jets to go over on the Tennessee Titans. I'm picking New York 17, Tennessee 10.
Yeah, the Jets are here and there. They just came off a loss with the Patriots. So, and I mean, what, a five-game loss? I think they're going to come back, and I think it's going to be probably, I don't think it's going to be much, 24-21. I mean, honestly, Jets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have the Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Oakland Raiders. Kansas City is 15-point favorites. To me, that's in the NFL, that's still high. You don't see that many blowouts in the NFL. Everybody's just too damn good. But I pick Kansas City, and I think it'll be 31-14. I think Oakland struggles.
It's going to be a little bit worse than that. I think it's going to be Kansas City, probably 38 to maybe 10 tops. Because I mean, there's some friction out there with Carr and Gruden and everybody.
Okay, and then some of the late games, we have the 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are 10-point favorites. They're 9.5. I'm going to go with Seattle 24 and San Francisco 6.
Yeah, Seattle. You got Russell Wilson on that offense. It's going to be easy. So 24-14.
Now it's a game that we can kind of slow down and talk a little bit about, and that is the 8-3 New England Patriots hosting the 9-4-1 Minnesota Vikings. 6-4-1 Minnesota Vikings. Nobody's talking about the Patriots.
No, they're kind of the Grays right now. They've been under the radar.
They're a little banged up, but they keep on winning. The Patriots have won the last 3 out of 5, so they're iffy, but they're not too bad. Oh no, that's Minnesota. New England has won 4 out of 5. The only loss that they had was at Tennessee. They had a hiccup against Tennessee, 34-10.
Yep.
Other than that, man, they beat Chicago. They beat Buffalo. The teams they are supposed to beat, they've beaten.
They beat Kansas City.
So I think New England is right where they want to be.
Yeah.
They're winning games, but they're under the radar. Look out if it's January and you got to go to Foxborough. Look out. Minnesota's the one that has lost 2 out of 3. So they just get done. They beat the Green Bay Packers. They lost to Chicago, beat Detroit. They lost by 10 to New Orleans, and then they beat the Jets. Man, even if Minnesota's defense shows up, I'm still picking New England.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of can't really shit on Tom Brady. The guy always shows up. So, yeah, I'm picking New England. Probably only going to pick 28-17.
I mean, you look at the playoff teams that New England has played so far this year. Teams that are almost for sure getting in.
Yeah.
They beat the Texans. We don't know if the Colts are getting in, but they beat the Colts. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bears. And we don't know if the Packers are getting in, but they manhandled the Packers.
Yeah.
So New England has beaten the teams they're supposed to beat to be an elite team.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, when you got Tom Brady on the other side,
it's kind of hard.
It's hard to go against. It's hard to go against them. I don't know if you watch Fox Sports Net. Undisputed was Skip and Shannon. Skip Bayless said something pretty interesting. He said, if Tom Brady was on the Green Bay Packers team, the Packers won't be 4-6-1.
Right? No, they wouldn't.
Patriots are 8-3.
Right.
Tom Brady is the dude's unbelievable. Even on a slow year, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's this guy that everybody keeps calling the GOAT in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers. Why the hell does people keep considering this guy to be an elite quarterback? Is he elite? He's a good athlete. I think he's a really great quarterback, but is he a GOAT? Is he on the NFL's Mount Rushmore? Not a chance.
No.
I wouldn't put him in the top 10 if I had to pick. If I could do a top 10.
I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I do like him.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think he's better than Brady. I don't think he's better than Peyton. I don't think he's better than...
I don't think he's better than Favre.
Favre, no. I mean...
I don't think he's better than Dan Marino.
No.
I don't think he's better than John Elway.
Hell no.
I don't think he's better than Warren Moon.
I mean, John Elway's a little biased.
I don't think he's better than Troy Aikman.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. No.
There's 6 quarterbacks I named right there.
Yeah, but those... You guys are...
I don't think he's better than Ben Roethlisberger. You know who I compare him to? And a lot of people are going to be pissy. But as far as young gunslinger goes, you can't say he's much better than Phillip Rivers.
Oh, that's not a down thing, though.
It's not. Phillip Rivers is a great quarterback.
It's not bad.
But when it comes to winning and just winning 10+ games, Phillip Rivers can't do it. He needs. But look who he had with him.
Yeah.
He needed players like
Antonio Gates,
yeah. A healthy LaDainian Tomlinson.
I mean, he's got Keenan Allen.
Sean Merriman at linebacker.
Yeah.
Lights out.
A lot of people forget that guy.
Exactly.
I mean, he was a badass.
The San Diego Chargers were built in 2006, 7, 8 to be a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
But Phillip Rivers just didn't get him over the hunch. You got Aaron Rodgers, who has only got 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they barely squeezed in to that year in the playoffs. Barely. I don't see Aaron Rodgers being a top 5 quarterback of all time. I don't see him being in the top 10.
No, I mean, when you got... Okay, you mentioned just those 6 right there. I mean, those guys are legends. Don't get me wrong. They really are. I mean... So
I didn't even say Joe Montana.
No.
I didn't even say Steve Young.
You're right.
I didn't even say Roger Staubach. I didn't even say Joe Namath. They all have one thing in common. They have multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Joe Namath has the 1. I still say Willie is better than Aaron Rodgers. Dude was at least more entertaining.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was get a feel on Monday Night Football. I mean, I don't see what the whole heckle is about Aaron Rodgers.
He's a good player.
And people can't sit here and say that I hate the Packers because they knocked the Cowboys out of the playoffs. I don't like Aaron Rodgers because of everybody is just swinging on the Rodgers bandwagon. When Brett Favre was a Packer, I didn't mind the Packers. I loved Brett Favre. Who didn't like watching Brett Favre play football? But Aaron Rodgers, I don't understand. He just isn't a top 10 quarterback of all time to me. Would I take him over 90% of the quarterbacks in the league right now?
Yeah.
Of course. But he's not a top 10 of all time.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You kind of can't really kill him that much.
No.
He's definitely...
But, okay, let's take a look at this.
But I'd take him over at least...
I would take him... Let's go team by team. Patrick Mahomes, I would take him over Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't take him over Brady.
No.
I'd take him over Deshaun Watson. I wouldn't take him over Phillip Chargers. I wouldn't tape him over Ben Roethlisberger. I wouldn't take him over Roethlisberger. I would take him over Jackson in Baltimore.
Well, yeah, but he's too young to really consider yet.
I would take Andrew Luck over Aaron Rodgers.
That's kind of biased.
Whoever the hell is starting in Miami, I would take Aaron Rodgers over Miami.
Oh, that's 100%.
I would take him over Dalton. I'd take him over Mariota.
Yeah.
I'd take him over anybody who's on the Denver Broncos quarterback roster. I'd take him over the Cleveland Browns quarterback roster.
I'm a freaking Denver Broncos fan, and I don't know who the hell is behind Keenum right now.
I would take him over Buffalo, Jacksonville, the Jets, and Oakland. So right now in the AFC, to me, he's a top 5 quarterback in the AFC.
Well, yeah, but that's right now, as in starting quarterbacks who's playing at the moment. So I mean,
but in the NFC, I would do the same. I wouldn't take him over Breeze. I would still take him over everybody else in the NFC. So in the NFC, he's top 2 to me.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
But is he a top 10 in the all-time?
No.
Get out of here.
No.
If you guys want to...
No. Killing the whole league and everybody ever played, is he a top 3 in Green Bay itself?
I say he's 3.
Number 3? Okay.
Top 3 in Green Bay of all time? I say he's behind... I say it goes Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I agree.
You've won a championship. You have to be...
So you're at least somewhere in that argument. But yeah, as in for Green Bay, definitely. But for all time, all teams, NFL, no.
Anybody else would like to hang out and talk with us or chat, go ahead and leave us some comments. If you're listening to this episode, comment on Spotify, comment on Podbean, hit us up on YouTube or the Facebook app, which is currently still going to be linked to the movie app, which is Facebook 405. Facebook search Movie Reels, REELZ 405, and we can talk movies, we can talk football, we can talk everything.
Yep.
So I got the Patriots over the Vikings, and I'm going to go 27-10.
27-10. Yeah, I got the Patriots over the Vikings as well, of course. 28-20. Okay.
Next up, we have the Sunday night NFL matchup on NBC. The 8-3 Chargers taking on the 7-3-1 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
This is a must-win for both teams.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, like
after the letdown loss in Denver last week.
Yep.
Pittsburgh was on a hot streak.
Yeah.
They need to beat Denver.
Or no, you mean Chargers?
Pittsburgh. No, they were on a hot streak. They had won 4 in a row, and they lost to the...
They needed to beat them. I got
yeah,
you. I'm sorry.
They needed to beat Denver. That didn't happen.
They failed.
For some reason, they decided to throw in the end zone. But
for some reason, that big guy, Shelby Harris, was right there to happily accept that gift.
But they beat some pretty decent teams in Cleveland, Baltimore, Carolina, and Jacksonville on their way to Denver. But for both teams are still in the division to win their division. Pittsburgh is still at the head of the AFC North, and Los Angeles, goddamn you NFL changes, the Chargers are still right there in the thick of things to maybe win the West. And the Chargers, the past 5 games, they only have the 1-point loss to Denver. So the Chargers are right there at the thick of things, but they really, really need to win this game, and I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going Pittsburgh 31-28.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to be a little more separated than that, but maybe a touchdown tops, so not by much, 31-24. But
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Plus, don't get me wrong, that gives Denver a little edge up on their division. But if
Still
Denver
have to win
come
out.
out, then yeah, I think they can lose one game, but we'll see.
Next up, we'll talk a little bit about the Monday night game. You talk about another must-win, primetime ESPN Monday Night Football, and that's the Washington Redskins, who are 6-5, to go up against the 5-6 Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
A must-win for both teams, and I think I'm going to go with Philadelphia here.
I am too. Used to love to play with them on Madden. Kind of fell in love with the team, so yeah, I'm going with the Eagles as well.
The only bad thing is Washington has lost 3 out of 5.
So they're kind of on a pissed off.
They're on a bad. They're not doing so well, and those only wins were against the Giants and the Buccaneers.
Which, I mean, are W's. All in all, they are W's, but they're not fantastic W's.
And then Philly's in the same boat. They've
Yeah.
lost 3 out of 5.
The reigning champs are not looking like they were
Not
last year.
very good at all, and their 2 wins were against Jacksonville and the Giants.
Yeah, so
And they barely squeaked by the Giants. So I'm going to go Philadelphia, and I'm going to go 20-16.
I gotcha.
I think Adrian Peterson running the football and Colt McCoy playing some play action, I think they'll keep Philadelphia on their toes.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Carson Wentz maybe provides that late touchdown and wins the game for the Eagles.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I've got the Eagles 21-17 tops. I don't see it being a huge scoring game, but I see it being a tight game.
Now, there's still a few weeks left in the NFL.
Yep.
We have until January 1st, week 17. So we're entering the last month of the regular season. Right now, as it stands, your number 1 seed in the AFC would be Kansas City. Your number 2 seed would be New England. AFC South division leader would be Houston. And your AFC North division leader would be Pittsburgh.
Yep.
With Baltimore and the Chargers in as the wild card. In the hunt and right behind the Ravens and Chargers is the Indianapolis Colts at 6-5, and then the Tennessee Titans, Denver Broncos, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Miami Dolphins at 5-6.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, I mean we'll see where we. Obviously, we're going to be doing this until the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe after. Right now, if you had to pick your 6 playoff teams right now, who would you pick? We're gonna do a little fantasy.
Like 3-3, 3 AFC, or you're talking about 6 AFC.
At the end of the season, say the season ended tomorrow.
Right.
We're talking just the AFC right now.
Oh, okay.
Who would you pick as your 4 division winners and your 2 wild card teams?
I mean, truthfully, basically just like you listed them. I mean, KC obviously wins the West. I mean, I think they're going to win the West no matter what the Broncos or the Chargers, for that matter, do. New England just seems way too ahead. I mean, it's only by 3 games, sure, but they're still too ahead. Pittsburgh, I feel like it's going to be a little tougher for them, but I
still like them over a rookie running Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson's good, but is he that good? But yeah, I like Pittsburgh. Houston's just been, too much. So yeah, Houston. So divisional leaders right there, or divisional winners, whatever you want to call it, right there. As in current, that I think getting in right now. Yeah, I'm gonna say Chargers, wild cards, Chargers, and probably Colts. I mean, honestly, I look for the Colts to be more than anything.
If I had
now.
only because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah, he's on the hot streak. So.
If Joe Flacco was maybe healthy and playing a little good right now, the Ravens I think would sneak in there. But yeah, I agree with the division winners right now. I think they stay in. And my 2 wildcard teams would be the Chargers and the Colts. Now, on the NFC side of things, it might be a little iffy. But right now, as it stands, the West is led by the Rams, the South is led by the Saints, the North is led by the Bears, and the East is led by the Cowboys. And then your two wild card teams. Your two wild card teams would be Seattle and Washington. No, Minnesota and Seattle.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, and then we'll flip it back on you, I think the division leaders will still be the Saints, the Rams, the Bears, and I think the Cowboys will walk away with the East. I think they'll limp into the playoffs, but
Right.
I think they'll walk away with the East. And then my two playoff teams, I don't trust Minnesota anymore. I think my two wild card teams are going to be Seattle and the Panthers.
Yeah, I've got to stay definitely with New Orleans and the Rams. I mean, they just are too up front. I mean, with the South, you've got 10-1 New Orleans, 6-5 Carolina right behind them. So yeah, same thing with the West, 10-1 Rams, Seattle 6-5. I don't think anybody's coming up there. So yeah, Dallas, Chicago, New Orleans, and Rams as divisional leaders and winners, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'd have to say Seattle. I'm going to give it to Carolina. I feel that they kind of sneak in there. I do, because, I mean, it's kind of a... Cam Newton's looking a little hungry this season. I think he wants to be fed.
I think the only bad thing about it is I think Carolina plays the Saints 2 times left.
So, I mean, yeah.
They still have the Saints twice. But if the Saints wrap up home field advantage, they might rest their players.
Oh, definitely, because, I mean...
But that does come back and bite you in the ass, because... Yeah. When you rest up, you kind of lose your hot streak.
Yes,
you kind of cool down. With it. So, man, this is episode number 1 of which we think is going to be a weekly podcast. It's an idea by Rockstar. We both love football. The Cine-men Movie podcast has taken off tremendously.
Yeah,
we have tremendous following, and we look to see maybe we get the same viewers for this one.
Possibly.
Before I do have some stuff I want to talk about before we finish it up, but calling it quits on the football side of things right now.
Yeah,
we didn't get to do our preseason picks because we obviously didn't have this.
Yeah,
so I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to go on the spot too.
Okay.
You have 2 teams. Who's in the Super Bowl?
Who's in the Super Bowl? Kansas City, New Orleans. That's what I'm going with, just because Kansas City seems to be doing too well right now to kill themselves, kind of. Same thing with the Saints. I think Drew Brees is wanting another. I think maybe even a gunslinger riding away. I don't know. I don't think this is his last season, but if he wins, he might walk. I mean, he's near 40.
Oh yeah, so. That'd be nice. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I got one team in there, and you named them.
Yeah.
And I think the New Orleans Saints are going to be in the Super Bowl. But the team that they play, I think, is going to be the team that does it every year, and I think it's going to be the Patriots. I don't trust Jared Goff or the Rams yet in the playoffs on the NFC side.
No.
If New Orleans keeps winning and they get that number 1 seed, I don't see them losing.
I don't either.
I don't see anybody going in there and beating them in the playoffs. Now, in the AFC, Kansas City's only up by 1.
Yeah.
They're only up by 1 against New England. If they slip up and lose another one...
10 compared to 8. They're up by 2. 8-3 and 10 and...
No, the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-2.
Oh, I swear to God.
They're only down by 1, and if Kansas City loses another one, New England gets the tie. New England owns the tiebreaker. I don't think Kansas City is going up to Foxborough and beating the Patriots. I don't trust Patrick Mahomes. I don't even trust Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City in the playoffs.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think New England walks away of the AFC And I think I think we finally get the Super Bowl everybody's been dying for, and that's Drew Brees, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. That would be amazing if we could see that before one of them two retire.
Yeah. Honestly, in that game, if
I
that
think
were to happen,
the winner probably does retire.
yeah. I mean, honestly, with that game, I've got Breeze. I mean, there's nothing on Tom Brady, but I've got Breeze.
So right now, your Super Bowl win is New Orleans.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would not mind seeing that. I used to play with New Orleans here and there. You know, they were. I liked Mike Turley and his aggression, I guess. But yeah,
my Super Bowl pick, I will give you guys on the Super Bowl show. I will not give that out right yet. But the Super Bowl show, we will have a before and after of the Super Bowl show. We don't know the schedule yet, but if it's depending on how everything works out, it might be a one-man show, or it might be both of us on the post-game Super Bowl show.
yeah,
But the Super Bowl show is when I'll give my predictions, but I am picking New England and the Saints to play in that Super Bowl. But man, first episode, and I think it was a good one. I think we hit it right on the spot.
yeah.
Every week we'll have some kind of different topics to talk about. That we don't have the format yet of the show written up, but we will have a format written out soon. Maybe some football news or some sports talk. And then as everything expands to get a little bit bigger, we will go across the board. Like right now in the NBA, there's 2 minutes left. The Thunder came back and they are up 92-78 against the Cavs.
Yep.
Timberwolves are demolishing the Spurs 128-85.
Ooh,
So
that's disrespectful.
So there's some different games going on in the NBA right now. The Rockets are losing to the Mavericks 117. So, I mean, other than that, this is going to turn into just a sports hangout talk show.
Yeah.
At least after football season.
Yeah. Because I mean, we'll still keep up with all the trades, news, deadline, trades, drafts, and all that. But
we'll talk some fantasy football. We'll talk some Madden tournaments. We'll talk some NBA. We'll talk some Christmas Day basketball. And man, we'll talk some wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan. We'll talk a little sports entertainment. Get you ready for.
It's not too far away.
Going to MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
We'll talk. We'll do a little pay-per-view preview sometimes. Throw those in there. Man, just a little quick reminder. I heard that Monday Night Raw was the worst it's ever been. I heard this past week was a terrible episode. All-time viewership is at an all-time low right now. I think they're in the 1.9 million views, and they're used to seeing 2s and 3s. Not good news, but they still make billions of money somehow. And then they pretty much just mocked their fans by everybody was saying that it was the worst show ever. Well, they go and put some clips on their social media account. You thought it was the worst show? Well, here, let's show you some more stuff.
Personally, I'd love to see the Attitude Era brought back. I think a lot of people would, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Another news, though, speaking of sports, wrestling, and entertainment, Roman Reigns was at the Georgia Tech game. So that was his first public viewership. I mean, his first public view since announcing he had leukemia. So big fight for the big dog. Hope everything turns out well.
Definitely.
Need to see you in New York City. As far as that goes, man, anything else you want to touch on?
Not at the moment, no. I mean, I'm just looking forward to this weekend and in the coming months for different things in football. So.
I might have a small TLC prediction on December the 23rd. It's December 16th. I might give you a small little prediction of the card December 16th for the final pay-per-view for the WWE of the year.
Right.
Then we'll talk about some Sports Center top 10. Next week we will talk about who's in and who's out of the playoffs.
Yep.
So
let me ask you this: who do you think gets the Heisman, Tua or Kyler?
It's going to be interesting. I think we need to see this. We need to see what happens this year, in this week coming up. I mean, stat-wise, I think Kyler's stats are a little bit better than.
Other than interceptions, and I think QB passer rating, I think that's the only thing Tua's got. But yeah.
I think it'll matter on who has the bigger game this weekend.
Yeah.
I think that's all it's going to come down to. I think whoever has the better stats should win the game.
Yeah.
But we all know in the past it's not how it goes.
No, it is how you favor with the committee, I guess you'd say.
Which, I mean, it's interesting. A few years ago, a freshman by the name of Johnny Manziel won, and the Texas A&M Aggies were like 8-4.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know what happened with him. So,
but that kid for Alabama, he's only a sophomore, right? Is he a sophomore, junior?
No, he's a junior. Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa. He's a junior.
So I know he's got one more year left, probably.
Yeah.
And then his brother is a senior in high school, and he'll be a freshman next year at Alabama.
Yeah.
So I mean, Nick Saban will have both of them playing quarterback.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a dead dynasty for the family, I guess you'd say.
And that's going to wrap it up for us here. But man, with the Cine-men Movie podcast going on, how excited are you for the next episode? It's going to be Sicario 2.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it, so I am interested to delve into this world in the deep end, basically.
If anybody listens to this before the Sicario episode, the poll is officially closed. I want to say thank you everybody who voted.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was going to be a tie between the Meg and Sicario, and then out of nowhere, Sicario just ran away with it.
I think 8-9 votes over the Meg.
So
geez.
We're going to continue to throw up some polls, and we just ask you guys to just continue to vote and let your voices be heard. We appreciate it. And for your listening pleasure, you can check out our recent opening of the new Cine-men Movie podcast.
Yes, sir.
A martini, shaken, not stirred. I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody can stay anymore.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I'm your number one fan.
And here we go.
So, man, I am excited for everything that the Cine-men Movie podcast has been bringing. It opened up the door for this one.
Yeah.
And man, this football podcast is pretty much just going to be Monday morning quarterbacking it. We'll have some fun. We'll talk some football. We'll talk a little bit of everything. But man, other than that, I think that'll wrap us up.
Yeah, definitely. So this is Edward signing out.
And don't forget, we will see you on our sister show, which is the Cine-men Movie Podcast, which will drop this Saturday as we talk and discuss everything about Sicario 2. We will see you next week. Other than that, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week as the Cine-men Movie Podcast presents Sicario 2, and we are signing out.